Hello everyone, this is Spirit Gamer Girl, and I am here with
Storywind.
And so today, if you can't tell by my intro, this is going to be a much different video, a more serious video on something that has been going on in the news recently over the past month or so, more than a month now. And so me and Storywind are here to talk about it. I'm here to not only just talk about it in general, but also talk about my experience.
So, as we know, like a little bit over a month ago, we had the tragedy in Parkland High School, the shooting, the mass shooting. There's been several. We think back to 1999, the Columbine High School shooting by two students, which really captured the attention of the nation. Sandy Hook Elementary in 2012, maybe because it was elementary school, but again, it's just that whole sense of tragedy of someone using assault rifles and other types of guns in a way that's horrifying. And then you have 2018 at Parkland High School, which has recently happened. And what's interesting now is that all the times in the past when adults have spoken out and nothing seems to happen in our government around this, we have students whose voice is out there. And so, a lot of things recently have been inspired and led by students, including just recently a national day, a rally.
A national walkout day, and which was actually on March 14th, which was on a Wednesday. And what happened, just to give a basic rundown of the day, at 10 o'clock in all the different time zones across the nation as well as across the world, students, if they chose to, they could walk out of class at 10 o'clock and basically have a moment of silence for 17 minutes, with each minute representing each of the students who were killed in the Parkland shooting almost a month ago on that day. And so in the community where I live, the school, thankfully, that I go to is very supportive of these types of things. And so when students, including myself, walked out for the 17 minutes, they made sure that there was campus security there to make sure that everyone was safe. And of course nothing like dangerous happened, but of course they're there for our safety and so on and so forth. And so we did the 17 minutes, and then if people chose to go to the rally, there were buses available, or you could just go back to class if you didn't want to be part of the rally. For me, I chose to be part of the rally, but I drove myself just because I had that available. And so fast forward to the rally, there were many student speakers from all different high schools within the district, and some of which that I actually know, some who don't necessarily go to the same school as me, but who I've known for a couple years, and so it was really nice to see them speak. And they're definitely people that I know that are very vocal about their opinions when it comes to specific topics, controversial topics, and so on and so forth. So that was nice to see. And this is kind of unrelated to it, but I did get to meet up with some of my friends from my old high school, which was nice to see as well. And it was nice to see that they were there in support of it as well.
Yeah, it's just great to see how students took the lead and are actually setting an example for the adults to have a peaceful, civil conversation about a topic that people take emotional stands. And unfortunately, it seems like sometimes the stands are so rigid that people can't hear each other. Hopefully, we already know that the Florida legislature had passed some legislation, but it was momentum, it was movement that was inspired by students, and hopefully this movement continues so that we can have a fair and balanced approach to responsible ownership of guns.
Yeah, and so kind of going off of that, I know a lot of gun owners are seeing with these type of protests is that they see it as that we're trying to eliminate guns completely, which that is not the case at all. We are not trying to get rid of guns.
Yeah, and I think there are gun owners who definitely understand. There's not all gun owners are not just on one side of this conversation, this debate about what's responsible. We have the Second Amendment, which is an important part of our culture, our heritage as Americans in the United States, and especially when you think of people who hunt for food or hunt for sport, people who go to shooting ranges to practice shooting guns there to stay skillful and responsible. There's no one's trying to take anything from that. No one's trying to close any of that down. Unfortunately, you get the rhetoric of organizations that try to make it sound like it has to be an all or nothing piece. Now, there are people who do want all guns removed, and for them it's an all or nothing. But I think for most, especially this particular conversation about schools, is what's responsible to keep our children and our students, I say children students because there are adult students or older students, how do we keep them safe? Because there's too much of a gap.
And so again, going back to the whole getting rid of guns, that from what I can understand is that what they're coming from, or where they're coming from, people who want to get rid of guns altogether, that where they are coming from, or at least from what I can understand, is that if we get rid of guns, that means that not only school shootings will stop happening, but that people will stop getting killed. But if you think about it, even if we get rid of all guns, that's not going to stop violence, because there are other ways of causing havoc and causing death. So from my point of view, I can understand why you want to get rid of guns to a certain extent, but I still think that getting rid of guns altogether isn't going to solve what you think it's going to solve.
Along with those particular arguments, people who will say, let's just eliminate all guns, because if we can look at examples in the world. Like, for example, according to the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluations, the United States lists 31st highest in the world for gun violence per 100,000. It's about 3.85. So let's just round up. There's 4 deaths out of 100,000. When you think of the population in the U.S., you start adding that up. It's a lot of deaths. Now, we're not, compared to the worst ones, we're not in the same bracket. Yeah, for us, it's pretty bad. But more importantly, if we look at countries, say, like the United Kingdom, I said, it has a 0.07 violence due to guns. Or Iceland, which is also 0.07. Germany, it's 0.12. And of course, you have Singapore at the top at 0.03. You look at those, and it's compelling when you have that many. Now, with all that said, again, the United States has a culture, a heritage of the Second Amendment, which, that was put in place at a time because when the United States first came into being, it was very dependent upon its militia as an armed force, because our country was too young to have a standing army of any decent size. So that was a very important part of it, to protect that. So today, it's about where's the middle ground, and so we just want to kind of focus on about schools and guns, just looking at that category. So, within schools and guns, people are throwing up different solutions. One is, about raising the age limit of owning guns from 18 to 21, which, could help, although it's also possible in a family that owns guns, a person could still get access in that regards. Basically, weapons are meant for war and nothing else.
As well as, I believe they're called bump stocks, which turns like a normal
semi-automatic into an automatic.
Yeah.
There are some things that people say, well, it's not going to make that big of a difference. Well, it'll make some difference. There's different options that people have looked at. I kind of like the idea of some level of responsibility that we might see, similar to comprehensive background check, where every state.
So in terms of the solutions that could potentially be put into place with trying to lower the chance or lower the risk of another school shooting or any type of shooting happening, I know a lot of people have been chiming in. People have talked about getting extensive background checks, longer wait times before getting guns, mental health examinations, I don't know, any other type of examination that would be needed, raising the age for the being able to purchase a gun in the first place. I believe there were several people who gave this solution, but a lot of people, or at least from what I've heard, have been against it, which is arming teachers in schools. I believe there was something even said by Trump about that he was potentially going to pass, I don't know if it was a law or something that would allow teachers and staff to be armed in schools.
Yeah, that's the one that I really strongly oppose. I mean, the others I'm kind of open to exploring and understanding. And the reason I really strongly oppose that, it puts, we have trained police officers in communities who are trained not just with guns, but trained to deal with potential violence. And and maybe there's a solution about how we better integrate with police force. But to ask a teacher who's supposed to be trained to be nurturing and supportive of students to then add a burden of potentially harm or kill. Now you might say, well, they're protecting. Yeah, certainly they're protecting, but I hear people who talk about when those who have experience of having to take a life, or just that how that can weigh on a person.
Just having it in the back of your head that you killed someone, even if it was to defend innocent lives against a threat of a bad person, just having that weigh on your mind, that can do serious mental damage. Even if it was just to protect someone, whether it was a student or a family member or just a complete stranger, that could cause the same level of PTSD type things that even people who have seen death in war or similar situations like that. And I'm not a mental health expert, obviously, because I have a YouTube channel, but I'm just trying to put it out there that we need to weigh what further damage could cause that could be worse than a mass shooting or worse than just death itself, just having to deal with killing someone else, taking someone else's life, no matter what, whether it be good or bad.
So this is a heavy conversation, and we put some ideas out there or address some ideas that are out there as just intent as a dialogue, not necessarily to advocate one way or another, but to have a dialogue. So if you have your thoughts about this, we'd love to hear what those are. As long as it's a civil, respectful discussion is what we're trying to have right here, and hopefully maybe this might help you in dialogue that you might be having with your friends or families about this topic.
Yeah, and so feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you are going to leave a comment, whether it be on my YouTube channel or my father's YouTube channel, please be respectful as possible. Just want to reiterate that at least once. If you found this informative, or if you just found it interesting to hear our opinions and either want to know more about what we have to say on this topic, or just simply want to leave your opinion or just a comment or whatever, then feel free to in the comment section below. And as long as it's respectful, because we don't want to start any unnecessary fights with anyone. No.
Because we just don't get into trolls, but we do get into having open, honest conversations, just hearing ideas.
Hopefully you'll come back for more content like this, different content, so on and so forth, and I'm going to stop rambling, and I will I will see you guys next time for the next video, and Storywind will see you guys next time on my channel and the next time we collaborate.